Tonight on Celebrity Court of Public Opinion, we have fame, fraud, and fallout. The legal firestorms that's continuing to shake the culture. This is a question I have for everybody that's viewing us tonight. Have we lost all sense of accountability and fame? Or has the legal system finally caught up to celebrity culture's dirtiest secrets? Guess what? Tonight, we're going to crack open 4 cases that are as scandalous as they are unsettling, and some we even thought were over, but may be reopened. And guess what? They also raise one major question. And this is a question I have for you. How much bad behavior are we willing to excuse if the person is rich, famous, and smiling for the cameras? From explosive claims of rape and cover-ups in the music industry to conflicting testimonies in a shooting that has divided our Black culture, we're going to make sense of these court filings. Some are refilings. We're going to decode the legal strategies, and we're going to force the uncomfortable conversations that mainstream simply won't touch. And as always, I need your help. I need you to be the jury with a voice. So I want you to drop your thoughts. I want you to also explain and share your outrage as well as your confusion, because tonight we're not just watching headlines, we're going to try to dismantle a few of them. And to help me with this, let me introduce our legal beagles. First up, we have that fiery civil attorney, Shannon Turner. Welcome back to Celebrity Court.
Hi, Your Honor. I'm glad to be back. Can't wait to continue this conversation.
Absolutely. Joining her also is author, Shit They Never Taught You in Law School, Attorney Weiss. Please come on in here in Celebrity Court.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just when you got the title of the book down, the new one comes out on Thursday, but all you'll have to say is more shit they never taught you in law school. And I want to say thank you to Jessica Brooks for putting the love token for the panel, and I have books that are going to be sent to her as a thank you.
Oh, awesome. And last but not least, let's welcome humorist at law, Sean Carter. Sean Carter, the court wouldn't be the same without you. Come on in here to Celebrity Court.
Hey, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Very good. How was your weekend?
Excellent.
All right, guys. Tonight's going to be a little different. We're going to take the gloves off and we're going to give it to you just as real and raw as we possibly can. All right, our first case in court today is Jennifer Williams' husband and the child support allegations. So, when you marry into reality TV fame, your skeletons don't stay in the closet. They actually hit the blogs. Jennifer Williams, the no-nonsense basketball star, thought she had found her forever love in Christian Gold, but social media thinks otherwise and says that they believe she's married a deadbeat dad. He's been accused of owing back child support as well as dodging responsibilities, and now he's trying to flip the script, claiming he's the real victim, who's a victim of a toxic custody war. He said he's been physically assaulted, legally manipulated, and clout-chasing accusations are definitely all on the table. So here's the real questions, and we want to break it down with our legal beagles. Is Christian being slandered, or is he the face of a soft-spoken type of neglect? And should Jennifer be standing next to him in this fire or stepping away? So first up, this is a family court question. I'm going to go to you, Attorney Carter. In family court, can public perception and online backlash legally impact a custody ruling? Because he's getting a whole lot. The reason I ask is he's getting a whole lot of pushback. First, we had the scandal of him allegedly stealing people's money, right? Running a Ponzi scheme. Now, not only have we learned about the Ponzi scheme and all the settlements that he's had, we are now learning about his baby mamas of 2 of his kids who they are now in a custody battle. And the public isn't liking this. They're actually saying, from this rich guy. Remember when he first introduced to the public, they were saying he was very rich and he was in love and they were in love and he was just this great catch, to now, not only is he a fraudster allegedly, but he's also a deadbeat dad. So tell me, does public perception and online backlash have any type of impact on the custody ruling?
Before I answer that, I think the bailiff has a video. Let him answer for himself, and then I'll tell him why he's wrong.
My issue with people is that you think that you can go into somebody's house, build a relationship, get close to those people, and then walk the fuck out and throw a grenade in that bitch and light it on fire, and then you turn around and look back like you did nothing. You take no responsibility for what you've done to cause chaos in people's lives. That's my issue that I have. Because if we really want to talk about it, we have receipts, text messages, conversations showing where you have disrupted the peace in people's homes. That's why you owe people money. You owe your own children money. You owe your own children so much back pay because you don't take responsibility for what you're supposed to do as a father, as a businessman. So get ready.
Okay, so the question,
because yes, I am mama.
all right, we got
am
it. We
taking
got
care
it.
of
We
these
got it,
things.
bailiff. We got it. You can take it down.
All
So
right.
the question here is, Sean Carter, him causing chaos in his home, that's not illegal.
No,
Him walking out on the family, that's not illegal. So tell me what is the story here? Okay, he owes back child support
Right.
pay. That's illegal if he's not making his child support pay. But walking out of his family's life because he found a celebrity or a star, there's nothing illegal about that. It's immoral. There might be some morality issues here, but that's not a legal issue.
Well, absolutely. And you asked a better question. Why would you take this public if you're her, right? What can you gain from this? And the answer is not a lot. If I get mad at him and say, girl, you right, that does not help her at all because you need a judge to actually say, yeah, girl, you right, and here's your money. All right. I can't do nothing for her. And people do this all the time. They go online and sort of put their stuff out there, and it doesn't really help. It's the wrong forum to be making this argument. Plus, let's say that she's successful and we all hate him and we cancel it. And whatever little money he has, he doesn't get anymore because he can't make live appearances, brand deals, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
How her kids getting the money? Right? Ruining his life does not help her in this regard. People like to do it a lot too. I see it a lot online, even broke people do it. And it's like, you're not helping. The only person who can help you here is a judge. And so you need to make an Instagram to the judge. But everybody else, it's none of our business.
So let me ask you this, then, Shatan, since you're a resident female, could this backlash online though help the mother of the kids prove to the courts that he's trifling? Because there's a lot of receipts. So maybe in this case, the public perception that's being created from the backlash online is helping her lawyer and helping the judge make more informed decisions because, once it hit the internet, they're going to post the receipts.
So first of all, let's just know, no lawyer was involved in advising her to do that. So, and the reason is because lawyers were not actually that smart, right? Like lawyers are experts in the rules of civil procedure and the substantive law that they practice. And that's it. And so at our disposal are pens, paper, and then we use the pen and paper, and that's dating myself a little bit, but a computer and digital communication, right? We have motions, we have briefs, we have persuasive things that we do to try to get the court to rule in our favor. All of these people who do not vote in that courtroom, called the court of public opinion or the, internet, lawyers do not advise clients to spend any time whatsoever trying to persuade those groups of people unless it serves an end. So in this case, it's important to remember there are two separate things, right? There's custody and there's child support, right? Child custody and child support. In this case, the only thing that appears to be at issue is child support, which is money, right? So to Attorney Carter's point, anybody who would like to get money from someone has a vested interest in their income stream. So when his income stream, at least the only one that seems to be worth anything, since he's got to pay all these people back, because he was a bad investor, right? Allegedly. You know, her comments and her posts could detract from his ability to obtain endorsements, unless he was trying to like be asked to endorse like soap, like bar soap, to show you can clean the deadbeat off of you or something like that. You know, that could be something, but it would have to be kitschy like that. You know, this is not in her best interest when she wants to get money from him. But if it were for the custody, right? The fact that he's trifling, the fact that he steals, allegedly, the fact that he seems more interested in his new relationship than he is in the established relationship he has with his children, that could all be persuasive to the judge in a child custody suit, because that goes to his character, and it's supposed to be the decision in the best.
Wait a minute. Okay, I'm confused. I'm confused, counselor, because so you're telling me all that we have seen in the past year unfold about his illegal activity managing people's money will not be weighed in to him being trifling to being able to pay his child support?
I'm saying they're two different standards. If she was seeking custody of her kids, the fact that he is a person of low character, that would likely motivate the judge to keep the kids from him and award custody to her. But at this point, the issue that she's complaining about is he hasn't paid his child support. And the child support payment is just a function of how much he was deemed to owe. So she needs to be invested in his income stream so that he has money to give her. But of this stuff, and I don't know if you want to get into the messiness of it, but Evelyn Lozado was very upset by the fact that he wasn't meeting his obligations. And she had some pretty salacious comments for Jennifer. So the way that she gets plugged in, I thought you were going to ask your famous question about, does celebrity influence what's happening here, right? The way celebrity
I'd like to bring up that Christian is a felon.
This is getting
daughter has a child by a felon as well.
Hold on. Let's go. Hold on, Bailiff. Let's make sure we start that from the beginning, please. Okay, go ahead, Shaitan. Finish what you're saying, and then we'll go to the video.
I was just going to say is that this is getting a lot more attention than it would have been if he was just Joe Schmo not paying his custody. It's getting all this publicity because of Jennifer. And when Evelyn posted, she said, you got standards for the clothes you wear, but not for the D you suck. And I was like, petty was a phrase, right? I am not going against that woman right there.
All right, bailiff, let's see this clip that you
I'd like to bring up that Christian is a felon a lot, and your daughter has a child by a felon as well. You seem to throw that up a lot, and it's for what?
First of all, I don't have a dog in the fight with who you choose to or be with. Carl's cousin was involved. That's not like something that I just decided to pull out of the air. It's a real thing. So I brought it to you so you can believe what I'm saying. But the difference is that your felon is currently stealing money from people today, tomorrow, yesterday.
Whatever you say.
And let me tell you something. You done talked about my daughter and you done brought my daughter, but you don't got kids. You don't got kids.
Yeah, I do.
You never carried a kid. Keep my daughter's name out your mouth.
So let's ask this question. I'll go to you, Jason. Does marrying someone involved in a legal dispute make her legally or financially vulnerable? Does her marrying Christian doing this legal make her legally or financially vulnerable?
So there's a lot of factors that come into that, depending on where they're married, prenup, and those are going to be the first two to start, right? And if they hold things jointly, if they hold things individually. So look, here in the state of Florida, if you've got a problem, if someone had a problem with just me because I own most things with my wife, or she owns everything, then chances are she wouldn't be dragged in. But the second she is implicated in something, then she could be drawn in. California is its own hot mess, having to do with the law and marriage. And again, it's prenup, what's involved, what state, and if they have assets together or individually.
Okay,
but
let's go to you.
Usually, the best is to just keep your mouth shut.
Okay, let's go to you, Attorney Carter, real quick, because I just learned from one of the chat. Actually, they're claiming that they're not married; they're spiritually married. So, if they are spiritually married, at any point of them being spiritually married for a duration of a certain time in the state of Georgia, would they ever be what would be called? What's that called when you're
Common law?
Common law marriage. Yeah. And they usually only have that in California.
Yeah, that's not a thing. I'm spiritually immortal. All right. Until I die. All right. That does not have any legal effect at all. The only thing that's interesting is that, the wife here, Jennifer, won't have any obligation to pay his child support. However, his child support could actually be increased if it turns out she's making a bunch of money and now he has more money to pay because he's married to someone rich. But it will still be his debt. It'll just be more of his debt, and he'll have to go to jail longer. And so she'll have to decide, do I love this fool, or should I get away from him and just let him go to jail?
So Christian Gold, if Christian Gold's baby mama, if you're listening, you might want to have the courts reconsider your child support payments if they are legally married, right? Now, if they are spiritually married, that can't happen, correct?
That's not a thing.
There's no such thing.
I'm spiritually tax-free.
Marriage is just like saying, I feel it in my heart. I actually saw this coming, by the way. I think I mentioned on another show, because the circumstances under which them tying the knot were so sketchy, because they had to leave and go to another country. And you have to be careful about the laws in other countries, because often you have to get there, stay there for a few days in order to avail yourself of the law of that country. And then you have to come and file it in Georgia. If you remember years ago, when Eddie Murphy was supposed to have married Babyface's ex-wife in Ghana, and then something erupted with him being involved in a scandal, and she was like, I'm not about that scandal life. And she said, we were just spiritually married too, because they never went through the process of filing the papers in their state. So spiritually married, the reason they're saying that is because Jennifer's telling the world, don't come for me. He's my man, but he ain't my husband.
Oh, wow. All right, everybody. You heard it right here from the League of Beagles. Be sure to hit that like button. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you're already subscribed, be sure to share that with someone and invite them over to enjoy the show. Please continue to jump down in the comments. And as always, we like it. Now, this is a story I could not wait to get to. Tory Lanez bodyguard is changing the game. The verdict is in, the sentence is served, but guess what? The bodyguard has now resurfaced. Just when you thought Tory Lanez's 10-year sentence was the final chapter in the Megan Thee Stallion shooting saga, new claims explode onto the scene, alleging that Kelsey Harris, not Tory, pulled the trigger. This bodyguard was missing in action during the trial, and now magically his version paints Tory as the peacemaker and Chelsea as the aggressor. So is this a miscarriage of justice? Come on, chat. Get it, jump in there. Tell us, is this a miscarriage of justice unfolding in real time? Or an orchestrated appeal attempt with sketchy timing and a witness with everything to gain? All right, let's go to you, Jason, first. How much legal weight? Okay, before we do that, before we ask the question, let's go to the bailiff. Bailiff, let's see that conference. Let's see that press conference, please.
Not long ago, Unite the People was approached by a gentleman named Bradley James. Mr. James informed us he was working as the bodyguard and driver for Miss Kelsey Harris during Mr. Peterson's trial. As such, he was in close proximity and he had privy to conversations she was having with her husband and others. Mr. James informed us he was not under a non-disclosure agreement or a confidentiality agreement and was free to speak with Unite the People, and that he was doing it because his conscience would not let him not speak and leave a man in prison for something he did not do. Mr. James informed Unite the People that he was witness to the conversation Ms. Harris had, where she stated she had the gun, she fired it 3 times, Mr. Peterson grabbed her arm and knocked it down, and the gun fired times. In essence, Mr. Peterson never shot anybody, never even touched that gun, never fired the gun. This statement aligns with the statement of the only non-party witness to the case, Mr. Sean Kelly, who at trial testified he saw 2 women fighting, 2 men break up the fight, 1 man grabbed the other one's arm. Gunshots came from the passenger side. Passenger side is where Ms. Harris was sitting. This further iterates that Mr. Peterson did not shoot Miss Pete, did not shoot at Miss Pete, or did not assault Miss Pete.
All right, Jason, is this enough information to appeal?
Sure, it's absolutely enough information to appeal. Does it win on appeal? I don't think so. And that's just my gut. I have no.
Well, you can't just tell us that it's not going to win. You have to tell us why. What's your legal perspective?
Yeah, because so I don't know if these new statements are being used, but there's no indication the courts have accepted these new statements. They're not seeing them as sufficient new evidence to reopen the case or overturn the conviction. There's questions about whether or not there's what's going on here, why this is coming out. But at the end of the day, these new claims and these new all of a sudden I grew a conscience is not changing the fact of what this panel of jurors found. Look, he was convicted by a jury on all counts. So, I mean, this is something that they're going to have, and it wasn't just a judge, being close or doing something. No, this is a jury. They listened to this entire thing.
Okay, hold that thought right there, Jason, because I want to make sure that we stay fluid and fast with this. Okay, now, I get what you're saying right there, right? But, Sean, help me out. Attorney Carter, help me out here. We talked about before here, what was the reason for her getting immunity, right?
Right.
Could Tory Lanez's lawyer go back and say, hey, can we revisit why Kelsey got immunity? Can we revisit, given the new evidence, why Kelsey got immunity? Because no one can seem to explain to me why she got immunity. Can they marry this new information to why she got immunity to build a case why this appeal should be considered?
They would have to. And here's why. I just took a look at the law in California, all right, where this happened. California Penal Code 1181, Section 8, says that you can't introduce, all right, new evidence from a witness that you already knew about, was on the witness list, but just failed to appear, which is this bodyguard, unless there was some prosecutorial misconduct. The prosecution had hid them away or intimidated the witness. The police came over his house and said, you better not show up. Or there was some conspiracy here, like you would argue, that says, hey, they gave her immunity and then intimidated the witness to not come in so that they could get Tory, and even though they know that Kelsey did it. And so they're going to have to make that argument.
This is hot off the press.
They're going to have to make that argument if they're going to get his testimony. There got to be some reason, extraordinary reason why the court wouldn't, because normally if your witness doesn't show up, that's just on you. My question is this, and someone's got to answer this in the comments. How the hell does Megan Thee Stallion's assistant have a bodyguard? I don't have a bodyguard.
And a driver.
How'd she get a driver as the assistant? Who the hell's driving Megan around?
Maybe you know how, like, because she's her good girlfriend and she was also her assistant, that she was the one that kind of like found the bodyguard, found the driver. Well, I'm sure he's playing both roles. So maybe this is, the person that usually drives her to run the errands for Megan.
The question is this, though. Go ahead, Jason.
I wanted to just say one thing. Kelsey Harris was granted limited immunity, not full immunity. And that's a big thing. So limited immunity.
Why does she need immunity at all?
Because that she couldn't be prosecuted for what she was saying on the stand.
Okay, what can she say that would make her prosecuted if she was not involved in the shooting at all? There wouldn't be anything for her to be said.
I was there. I was high on drugs. I was doing this. I was doing that. Some sort of crime that she could say that she was doing at the time, so that she wouldn't be charged to give her truthful.
Okay, now you got me messed up. Now you got me messed up. So if I was doing something illegal in the car, before something happened, I could be charged for that.
Sure. You don't want to say, "Oh yeah, I was doing an 8-ball in the car while I was sitting there." Well, that's a crime right then and there. So
so she shared that on.
So she'll say, "Look, I want to not be prosecuted for the things I was doing at the time." Okay, no problem. All right, let me tell you about what I saw go down. I was smoking a joint and blah, 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 blah. Well, the smoke in the joint, you can't get charged on what you saw. Now, that does not protect her if she was the actual shooter. It's limited. Now, I don't know if the state is going to come out and actually charge her, investigate more, or they're just saying, you know what, closed case, let's move on. Prosecutors are going to need a lot of evidence and not just hearsay from a witness that could have been in the courtroom if they really tried to.
All right, really quickly, go into the chat really quickly. Chat, I need you guys' help. Chat, I thought in the beginning we found that was Tory's gun. Am I wrong, chat? Let's go to the chat. Chat, am I wrong to think that when this all first came out, this was Tory's gun, but now they're trying to say that it was Chelsea's gun? Am I reading that right? Go ahead, Shatan. What were you sharing?
Well, what I was going to say is you have to remember, I think this is what is jamming you up, thinking about why would somebody get charged with other crimes. That's because illegal acts remain illegal acts. So the fact that their interest is in Megan's shooting does not preclude any other illegal act from being pursued. And that's why she'd need the limited immunity. And you have to remember there were witnesses to everything that happened. Apparently, these witnesses had conflicting stories about how Megan got shot, but they might not have conflicting stories about whether she got paid for sex, whether she was doing lines of coke in the car. I mean, all of these kinds of things that could expose her to prosecution. The other thing is, Your Honor, you got to remember that everybody gets their day in court. So these don't have to be slam dunk cases that mean she's going to per se get convicted. They just could have been concerns that would have deterred her from cooperating with the case.
Okay. All right, Carter.
And by the way, one of the things that she definitely would have had a problem with is that, remember, when it first happened and they went to the police, asked her what happened, she said, I don't know. Right. And so when she comes back later and makes a different statement and says, yeah, I knew. Now she has actually committed obstruction of justice in the past by her past statements not being true. So they had to give her at least immunity from that, from perjury and from obstruction of justice. Otherwise, she couldn't have come back and changed her story. Now, the fact that she changed her story says a lot, too, about credibility. But at the very least, they had to give her immunity. Otherwise, she couldn't come up there and say, yeah, I lied to the police the first time, because that's a crime.
Okay, got it.
And I don't ever think they figured out whose gun it was. I just did some quick research. He was convicted of possessing a concealed, unregistered firearm in a vehicle, but they didn't say whose gun, who owned it. The serial number was scraped, so they don't know to this day.
So I've said this from the beginning. Something in the milk just is not clean. Something I don't know, and it's not that I am going against Megan when I say this. It's just not adding up. It's just not adding up. All right, everybody, let's keep it moving. Going to the next story of the night. Oh my goodness. Kevin Liles, in a statement that reads like a legal thriller, music mogul Kevin Liles has gone public with claims that he's been extorted. And he's been extorted for $30 million by none other than a former Def Jam artist, Chanel Jones, better known as Lady Luck. Jones is allegedly threatening to release a tell-all book and file a lawsuit accusing Liles of misconduct, including grooming and a forced oral sex encounter in the front seat of a car, claims dating back nearly 26 years ago. Wow. Let's go to you, Attorney Carter. Tell us what actually happened in this case, because you had some confusion and question.
I did. Well, my first question is, how the hell? Please put that picture back up again, because I saw a comment here that I agree. He looking guilty because he looked a lot like Russell Simmons. And apparently, when you get in the rep and you become a mogul, at some point you start looking like Russell Simmons. Hopefully, he can go to Bali with Russell because it's starting to look bad for you, brother. You can't look like this and be innocent. All right, you got to change.
Do we have a picture of him and Russell Bailiff?
Please don't tell me.
With him and Russell Bailiff?
They never been in the same place. I think they're the same person. I think that's why when Russell come back from Thailand,
the Bailiff has a picture of Russell Simmons and Kevin Liles together. Correct? Didn't we talk about that in the chambers?
I'm telling you, they've never been in the same place. They're the same person. When Russell come back, he's Kevin Liles, so he can get in the country. I don't know, because this look ridiculous. But anyway, your better question about Bailiff's come up with the picture is, the only really question I guess I had from this is, he's coming out objectively and saying, look, before this becomes a lawsuit, because they didn't file a lawsuit yet, it says, hey, I'm telling you, it's an extortion thing. They're trying to get me because I was going to buy NBC, apparently. They tried to get Cosby. They tried to get, damn, bruh. All right, slightly different people. But that's making you look guilty, bro. You're going to have to get a mustache or something. You're going to have to get a toupee or something because that ain't working for you. You're looking too much like Russell.
So tell us what is she claiming? Get to the point.
So she's claiming that he assaulted her. And by the way, that he tried to assault her, that he sexually harassed her, trying to as an artist, and then tried to groom her for sex and everything else. And that not only is he responsible for this,
what is the oral act, counselor? How did it happen?
Well, he's saying in addition to the oral, that's just one thing, but that he kept trying to hit on her.
What is she saying? What is she saying, counselor?
I'm saying she's saying that you kept trying to hit on me. And in addition to that,
in the incident, counselor, we talked about this in the chambers. What was she driving a car and he grabbed her head?
It says Miss Jones also threatened to allege I exposed myself to her and pushed her head toward my genitalia in an attempt to force her to perform oral sex while she was allegedly sitting in the driver's seat of my car.
Got it. Okay, so that's what she's claiming in this civil lawsuit.
And she hasn't filed a lawsuit yet. She said, I'm going to write a book saying this unless you give me $30 million.
And he said, money. And he said, forget it. I'm just going to put it out there on Instagram, so nobody's going to want to read your book.
There you go.
And I don't know if he got good legal or PR advice on that one. I'm going to defer to Attorney Turner. She's going to say, no.
Well, I thought what I thought was that Lady Luck took a page out of the Cassie Ventura playbook, but it played different. I don't know if everybody's asking for $30 million in exchange for their book, but that apparently is the going rate in New York City with hip hop.
Well, with the hip hop crowd.
Wait, my book's only $15. Come on.
It's the same amount that Cassie asked for. And she said, look, here's my tell-all. Give me $30 million. I won't publish it. And Diddy said no. And, then there was a civil suit and here we are. In this case, she asked for $30 million. He says no. And here we are. And he's saying, yeah, she alleges. I guess he thinks he's taking the sting out of it. But like some people are just freaks and they might be like, oh, he said that, she said he grabbed her head and pulled it towards his lap. Why don't I read the book to find out in a play-by-play how it happened, right? So it's interesting to me. The parallels between this one and Diddy are quite obvious. I just hope for Kevin Liles' sake that he doesn't have some Diddy-type secrets in his closet, because
Right.
if he does, we know how the story ends, right? And it's
So this
not
is
what
my
they
this
do.
is my question. This is my question. Would you advise your client to post a 6-page rebuttal to a lawsuit that is coming out against him? And in that statement, let's just read a piece of it. He says, decades of what he calls support, mentorship, and even family-like care, including helping her with her career as recently as last year. He also calls out her documented criminal past statements praising him, and erotic public behavior, including interviews where he allegedly appeared intoxicated and admitted drug use. What?
Nope.
Yeah,
Nope.
no.
Nope.
No
Nope.
lawyer was
And nope.
involved in this. That, like I said before, lawyers do not recommend that their clients do crazy public-ish in an attempt to persuade the court of public opinion and influence the decision in a lawsuit. Lawyers like to control things. So we're experts in rules of civil procedure and the substantive law, and we're also control freaks. And so once your client goes on and blabs and blabs and blabs all over the internet, it creates a problem. That's why I struggle to be quiet in my own lawsuit, right? Because I want to go online and say all the things that make me feel justified and righteous indignation and all this kind of stuff, because it makes me feel good, but it's not good strategically.
Got it. I get it.
Write a book, Attorney Turner. Write a book.
Look,
That'll make you feel good.
Christine R says, when you do too much explaining, you're guilty.
Yep.
Abby NYC, the MM family said they all running scared and try to do damage control. I know I've never seen it at this level, though. It's really weird how they are like, forget what the lawyers are saying. It seems like a lot of these celebrities, especially the hip hop space, they feel like that criminally in the court system, they can hire somebody to help them beat something. But in the court of public opinion, they're not waiting for anybody to speak for them. They are more concerned about the court of public opinion these days than any type of criminal procedure, any type of legal process. They want to get to the punchline ASAP. And what's so interesting about Kevin Liles' response is it reminds me he's following Jay-Z's playbook.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's following Jay-Z's playbook. And when I say following Jay-Z's playbook, Jay-Z has no, in my opinion, not saying he doesn't have a right, because he has a right, but he has no need to be going on the internet talking to anybody that's accusing him of anything. I just think it's not necessary. And I think Kevin Liles followed his blueprint and jumped right in, went to the internet, and now going to pass it off to his lawyer.
Well, see, I think Jay-Z's approach was influenced by a lawyer, even if it wasn't dictated by a lawyer. And this seems to be all of Kevin Liles' idea. So the reason your observations about folks taking this self-help approach to litigation in the court of public opinion is because they've been managing their brand their entire professional lives and think nobody does it better. What they don't recognize is in litigation, it's a different playground and they play by different rules. But here's why I say that he deviated from Jay-Z's playbook is because Jay-Z didn't go on with all of this detail. Like in his case, it's kind of like Kevin doth protest too much, right? There's all of this explanation about what supposedly happened. All Jay-Z said was, look, I ain't do it, right? And I'm defending against this. These are lies. He talked about Tony Busby. He took shots at the lawyer, but he didn't have a long explanation about, I think I was at this party with this girl and this actually happened instead of what she says happened. He didn't do any of that. So the fact that Kevin is having all of these details about how they were like family, she's like, yeah, incest family. You know, my family doesn't try to do the things to me that you did. And so now it becomes subject to debate and it's going to be tit for tat. And I don't see how it really helped him. Although the other thing he could be doing, I don't think it's good strategically, but he might be thinking, I can outplay her because I have better resources. So she's on the internet by herself. I have a machine that can help me
Right.
spread this narrative, and maybe I'll like drive her to the brink of a nervous breakdown and she'll abandon her case.
Let me ask this though, and this is what I don't get, because I agree with you in the sense I think he's doing too much here. There's no need. All she said, she didn't say I'm filing a lawsuit. She said I'm gonna write a book now, and give me $30 million for my book. Jason, your second book is coming out. Was your advance anywhere near 30 million?
No.
Right. So she wasn't getting 30 million regardless, right? I don't know what she's thinking about. I let her sell the book. I don't know about you, but Lady Love, that's not Harry Potter. That's not the Harry Potter lady, right? She wasn't gonna sell more than 7 of these copies, and 6 were gonna be to her mama. I let her publish the book. I'd have bought a copy. All right, just to read it. All right. I think he's gone too far. It's like, wait until there's a substantial, thing here. And by the way, $30 million. We saw this number. We're gonna talk about a $50 million case in a minute. Ladies, y'all getting the inflation. I know inflation's rough out there. I know the tariffs and everything, but $30 million is a lot for somebody to put the tabernacle in your face. I
think this isn't. I think there's more underneath the hood.
$30 million more?
No. I think she knows. They've known each other. If he just helped her just last year, still on her career, right. And this happened 20-some years ago. They've been in relations, some type of relations over the last 25, almost 3 decades. And so I think she may have more than just him hitting on her in the book, is what I'm saying. Right. And I think that's probably why he moved very quickly to create this discrediting her campaign, which is a 5-6 page letter on Instagram. I'm just so confused. That's still blowing my mind. All right, but let's keep it moving. Going on to Attorney Carter's favorite topic, Shannon Sharpe. Yep, you guys thought we forgot about him, but we did not hear in celebrity court. Shannon Sharpe is sued for $50 million in a civil rape case. Woo, he's the king of hot takes on sport, but now Shannon Sharpe is one who is under fire. A woman has filed a $50 million lawsuit claiming he drugged and raped her just a few years ago. There are no criminal charges, only civil ones, and yet the accusations alone is a nuclear bomb to his public image. He says it's false, it's defamatory, and it's driven by money, but he does not deny the relationship with the 19-year-old. She says it's trauma and finally getting a voice. And here's the dangerous new normal. You don't need a conviction to ruin a person's career anymore. So who's abusing the system here, algoritmers? Victims with no criminal case, or public figures who weaponize their platforms and celebrity to bury allegations? Attorney Carter, bring us up to date.
You're just going to get mad at, and you're just going to hang up on me. So I feel like
I'm not going to hang up on you. Here's what it is.
What does that even mean?
Nothing yet. You want to be a dick to me now, so.
I don't want to be. Don't manipulate me.
Oh, Lord have mercy. If you say that one more time, I'm going to fucking choke the shit out of you when I see you.
Dang.
Well, I don't.
You know what?
Well, I don't want to be choked.
Now, this is something. This is just weird to me. Like the fact that he's having a conversation, the fact that she's pausing so long, he should know that something ain't right. Like she's recording this, and the questioning is like a setup. Like that lets you know. See, that's the part that makes me feel like she really knows this guy. Like they got a long history together. They got a long history together because he's not seeing any of the red flags as a listener we are. All right, Attorney Carter, take it away.
All right, so remember, and so she comes up with a lawsuit, $50 million, says he essayed me and some other stuff, choked me, and then he comes out with some text messages where she's like, please choke me and put a big black baby in me and all kind of stuff like that. So they got a weird race play, the S&M thing going on that we need to talk to Brother Shannon about that privately, all right? But Then she comes up with this tape, which, by the way, I have to admit, does seem like at one point she's like, "Could you spell your last name and the day of the week?" Like, it seemed like she knew what she was doing there. But here's the thing about Shannon, though, and this is the problem that I think a lot of people have been saying. Someone said earlier in the comments, slips cost a lot of money. Now I've been vindicated because I've told you why you don't get no young woman. All right, you need a woman with a slip because guess what? You can't choke a 50-year-old woman. All right, you think I put my hand around my woman's neck? All right, I can't even touch her hair. All right, we've been married for 30 years. I can't go in her purse. All right, a 50-year-old black woman got boundaries. All right, 22-year-old white girl might do some stuff. All right, and as a result, this is what happens to you. All right, you need to stay with the women in slips who won't let you touch their hair or go in their purse, and definitely won't be. Okay,
now that we know she doesn't have a slip, does she have any legal footing? Because now this is why I want all the lawyers to lean in. Does she have any legal footing? Because she has exposed the fact that he did try to settle with her for $10 million.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it truly depends, right? I mean, you could go ahead and you could say it was an admission of guilt, it was whatever, but look, he didn't just say to her, "I'll give you $10 million, go away," right? He probably said, "All right, look, I don't want you in my life anymore, and I'm going to get you over a confidential settlement agreement or something like that." And in there, she would have had to sign and a confidentiality and non-disparagement and all of that. She probably brought it to an attorney, which, it's Busby, I believe. And he said, "Wait, if he's willing to give you 10, let's get you 50. And that's probably what happened. Look, he just came out a couple hours ago and said he's stopping his tour. He was supposed to go on a tour with Chad Ochocinco and all of this, and they're postponing that for a year because he needs to concentrate on this. So something is going on. Because he said, Ochocinco and I have come to the conclusion that this is the best thing as of right now was to postpone our tour. So
right, well, that makes perfect sense. I don't know that something's going on. I think that makes perfect sense because they are very engaging celebrities when they come together and they have meet and greets. Like they're laughing, they're joking, they really have a great chemistry going on. So I think until this is settled, they don't want to be portrayed as not taking these accusations serious. Right. And so out every other day laughing and drinking and having fun may create this type of visual thing, like he's not taking it serious. So I could see why he's definitely canceling the tour. But my question still remains the same. Like, we haven't heard a lot about this since its initial splash. We know that his big podcast that was supposed to come out, A Big Deal, got canceled. But I do know that he's continuing to do his present podcast with Ocho. But my question is, how much legs does she have with this, being that he settled with her or offered her money to make this go away before? Is that damaging or not, Attorney Turner?
It's all like a chess match in terms of what's damaging and what's not. It's a series of who's playing what and who's doing this. I mean, I think I can't actually hear Chad Ochocinco's name come up without remembering how he volunteered that he got an extension on his member because he couldn't hit the right spot for that girl. And so he just always, yeah, I never understood. That's available? Apparently it is. That's what he told Stephen A. Smith. Yeah.
I'm Googling. All right. Go ahead. Keep going. I'm going to Google it now.
So anyway, yeah, that's always a distraction for me. I also think that Shannon Sharpe, part of the reason he's in this trouble has to do with hubris. He thought he had a young, impressionable girl and underestimated that he was getting played for a while, and then she was a better chess player than he was. I'm not sure where she went to school, because she's only 20, which suggests she hasn't graduated college, but I think she could teach a master class in how to play a dude, right? Because she knew all of the things. To your point, Your Honor, she had pauses where you would have expected noise from a conversation, right? Because she was strategizing. Like, who was coaching her this entire time to try to get her in a spot where she could demand $50 million? It's a question.
Before we get to the game, guys, I want to make an announcement.
I have some stuff
guys,
I want to get to.
Wait, what's going on here? What's going on here?
Statement.
Before we get to the game, guys, I want to make an announcement. Guys, we've decided to postpone the nightcap tour. We look forward to seeing you guys in summer of 2026. It's going to be even bigger, even better. But Ocho and I have come to the conclusion that this is the best thing as of right now, was to postpone the tour. We look forward to seeing each and every one of you in 2026. Some of you guys that have already got the tickets, you probably received the emails and further instructions. But I want to thank you for your support. Ocho and I want to thank you, and everybody at Nightcap want to thank you. But we postponed the tour until 2026.
Okay.
By the way, you look at Ocho's face. Ocho, that wasn't a joint decision. All right. Ocho was mad as shit, right? He like, you done messed up my money. Look at Ocho's face.
Yep. Because
he needs the money. I don't have a successful
it was a good podcast. They were making a lot of money, but I want to hear.
I want to talk about the
hold on. I want to hear what Shaitan was saying. Tell me, Shaitan, what were you saying? Finish your thought. You forgot.
I did, but yeah, I was
said she wanted to know where this lady got schooled and who coached
her, because the way that she played this suggests a level of maturity and intentionality that is not common with a girl that age. I mean, clearly she was into the freaky, but that doesn't automatically mean that you have the mind of like Warren
strategically
Buffett, who's making deals to take down a man like this. And so I just think that she went on OnlyFans with goals that exceeded being liked and selling feet pics.
Well, I mean, I can see what I can see is I can see her seeing everything that's going on with all these influential Black men in entertainment and saying, oh my gosh, I have a situation too. You know, everybody's got this herd mentality and everybody's got a story. And she probably was like, I wonder if I have a situation. And she probably called Busby and say, well, I don't know if I have a situation, but guess what? I feel like I had something that happened to me that was really bad and I need to share it. And he was like, oh, hell yeah, this is great. We can use this.
You're right. But I have a conspiracy theory you're going to like. That's why I wanted to interrupt, because you're going to like this theory, right? Here's the theory. There are the settlement discussions, which, by the way, should never have come out. Neither attorney should talk about them.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, they're not admissible in court. So when they go, you only change the court of public opinion. If they go to court, nobody can talk about those settlement statements. Those are inadmissible in court. So I don't know why they got out to us. But here's the thing that's interesting to me. Think about this. Supposedly a man with a $14 million net worth. Remember, Shannon was maybe going to sign a $100 million deal, but hasn't signed it yet. He played in the NFL in the 80s when they were making about $35 a game. All right, he doesn't have a lot of money. He has about $14 million, good money, but he offers her $10 million. This woman who is selling feet pics for $30 at a time says, no, $10 million is not enough for me. I need 50 from a man who only has 14 and might not have that after the trial if I win. This is crazy math. And I'm thinking somebody must have guaranteed her the 10 million anyway. Somebody must have said, you know what, you're going to get your 10 million, girl. Don't worry about it. Because ain't no way in the world at 20-something years old, I'm turning down $10 million. For sure, today, for some bull stuff that I can get in the future, which might or might not come through. And if she get the $50 million verdict, guess what? She ain't going to have it. He don't have 50 million. All right, he only will have 50 million if he can sell and keep making money. And now you see he can't make money now. He can't go on his tour. So he's going to have less money to have. And I'm thinking maybe Busby said, hey, I'll front you the money because guess what? You can get your 10 million. I want to see how many more millions we can get out of Shannon or other people in the future. Because by the way, every case Buzzy gets like this, he gets more clients. But it seems to be weird though that somebody who was, like I said, selling feet pics for $30 is going to turn down $10 million. I wouldn't turn down 10,000. All right, but certainly, all right, Shannon, if you want to go ahead and choke me and do whatever, you can do it for a lot cheaper than 50 million.
Well, I agree with you. I think she probably saw some type of. She probably saw Busby, told Busby all the interactions and the freakiness, and showed him a couple of texts and said, "He's like, what are you doing? You can get more money than $10 million."
But he doesn't have more money than that.
Though, wait a minute. Remember, hold on. Remember, his big deal that he just had to pass up was like a 200,000.
I know, but he didn't get it. He didn't get
it because of the allegations.
Absolutely. So once you brought the allegations, how was she gonna get her money?
Right.
But
and listen, think about it. You said he only had 14. How was he able to give her 10?
He would live.
They could possibly work that out because he was going to get more money if she shut up and didn't say anything about it. So it seems like, just to me, it's like women. She made mathematically a bad calculus here. She's never getting 10 and definitely not 50. There's not 50 to get.
The math's not mathing, to Attorney Carter's point, because the other thing is that there's something we don't talk about a lot on this show. I don't know if we've talked about it at all, but the concept of a structured settlement. So if she actually got $10 million in a lump sum, she could get an annuity that over the course of her lifetime, given her age, that she could have gotten, nearly up to 50. So the math is really not mathing. And so something else was going on. Either someone promised her the money. She's stupid, but she's already proven that she's not stupid. She's an undegreed person who was selling feet pics. And she asked her way into the possibility of getting millions, right? And so there is an aspect to this that will unfold, I think, that will teach us all how we should have invested the money we spent to go to law school and instead, invested in OnlyFans or maybe tricked our way through life and gotten a big bag. I mean, that's other people, not us, but other people.
All right, everybody. Tonight we heard stories of custody disputes, misfired justice, corporate betrayal, and civil lawsuits that can ruin a legacy overnight. But here's what I want you to think about. Are we really holding celebrities accountable, or are we just addicted to the chaos of watching them fall from grace? Fame doesn't equal facts, and silence, that doesn't mean innocence. In this court, we challenge you not to just gossip, but to think. Let's ask yourself, algoritmers, would you be defending them if they weren't rich? Would you believe the victim if they weren't anonymous? Would you still be silent if it happened to someone you love? Don't just watch the headlines. Join the verdict. Drop your thoughts right in the chat right now. Share this stream. Subscribe to the channel because this is a court where truth, power, and the people collide. I'm Al Reynolds, your judge, and I'll see you back here on Thursday where fame goes on trial, where fame of all fame goes on trial. No verdicts tonight. Good night, and thank you for watching Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. I'll see you on Thursday. Court is now adjourned.